Hi, everyone. Today is May 13th, 2021, and we've got in our show and tell event today, Gail Bos, Rebecca Goodale, and Ronni Komarow, all members of the New England Book Artists group organization. And we're going to start off with Gail today, who I know from painting for many, many years together with a common teacher. So Gail, you're going to show us some books today, right?
Right. Thank you, Carolyn. We did. We worked every week together. And actually, you made a book for me. The first book that you took a group of my paintings and made it into a wonderful book. And I was looking for it, but I think was sold. I have no idea. I couldn't find it.
Huh.
But, Christina, could you just...
I'm getting us going.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, we can start with that one.
1 second.
Okay.
I'm just going to make it look a little prettier. There we go. And I have you in speaker view, I believe.
Yeah. I'm going to just show you a few books that I made. That's one of them. And I think it's actually on the inside, it's images of work by children from Mali, West Africa. And when I was there as a Peace Corps volunteer, I used to bring out paper and markers, and the children used to come over and work on it. It's an area of Mali where they don't have paper and they didn't have pencils or markers. Don't have paper because of the termites. And the school, yes, uses the old-fashioned sit and listen in the blackboard. So they love drawing, and I just wanted to kind of present their work to people who came through my studio. And then I just kind of put one of my images sometimes next to it. It was a great experience. My husband and I went into Peace Corps when our last kid walked out the door to get away before they started coming back with grandchildren. So we had a wonderful adventure. Just keep going through. So those are some of the wonderful images. Like children everywhere, they have such a fresh way of looking at things. This is another book that I made that I'd never made before, and it started with a poem by Ruth Schwartz. Then it started with, "I've been so sad for so long that it shocked me." And I thought, oh my gosh, that's such a powerful way of starting a piece, because poetry actually is a piece of art too. So I just decided to kind of illustrate her poem. And see if you can see it. So that's, whoop, I'm going to learn how to do this. There we go. That's one of the pages. And there, you can see it better through Christina's presentation. So it's all just glued material, and then the little white stripes are the words of her poem.
Can you read the poem to us?
Yes, let's see. The enormous yellow sun balanced like a honeydew on the hill's knife edge, flat and implacable. It wavered there as long as it could, then started, who can blame it, its slow slide, as if it meant to show me what was missing, as if the world were asking, will you learn to stand beside this pain? No, I said, I wish it did. I said no, but the world said yes. So that's kind of a cheerful one, right?
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And I love the negative and positive spaces that you're putting in here. And this is a lot of fabrics, you said, right?
It's all fabric.
Wow, beautiful.
It's all fabric. And quite a bit of it is from Mali, as you probably can see. It was just a lot of fun to do it. And I'd never done anything like that. So, and I haven't done anything since then. So The next book I'll show you, this one, most of my art, as Rhoda will say, it's actually propaganda. And I'm a very political artist. The reason why I make books is actually so I can share things with people. And that's why I give away most of all the small books. I make hundreds of them and they're to give away. This particular one I did because the cover is actually the cowrie shell and it's made out of cotton from Mali. And of course, a lot of the slaves came from Mali, West Africa, United States, and they brought the skill of making cotton, planting cotton. So this book kind of talks about the use of cotton and also how it's how clothing and working with fabrics is still kind of a slave labor across the world.
The repeating element of the dictionary entry over and over again, I thought was interesting too.
Thank you.
I like that.
The next page will show kind of, it was behind your favorite fabric is slave work. And this actually is a cottonseed. It's in my area when in Mali, the women grew cotton and it was the men who, the women grew it and spun it. And the men were the ones who did the weaving and they did those long, narrow looms that went across the public park of the village. So this is a cottonseed from Mali. And then that's actually the cotton. And just to show how international business works, when we were there, Malian cotton is hand-picked, hand-spun, so it's beautiful cotton for art pieces and elegant pieces. And that's Mali cloth dyed by the women. And the years we were there, we would find the cotton just piled in the road. The farmers would be waiting for the big trucks from the city to come pick them up, but they never did because that year, those, I think they were 3 years, United States and China, who have huge cotton industries, often supported by the government, dumped all their cotton on the market. And so the small country of Mali got nothing for their cotton. So the farmers just had to leave it in the on the dirt roads as the wind blew it away. It was very sad. But that's why undeveloped countries are undeveloped because they just can't get into the big markets. And we have the same issue here where we have the small grocery person or the small drugstore, and if a big corporation comes in, it's very hard to compete. So it's the same type of thing that prevents what we call undeveloped countries for developing industries or ways of getting cash so that they can buy things on the world market. Do I have another book?
I was just going to chime in for a second. I grew up in Georgia and cotton fields, and the references to cotton are totally entrenched there in a lot of different ways. So I was drawn to the cotton component of it right away before I even knew it was about Mali based ideas for you. So I thought it was a very effective piece and interesting. And I do like the way you've used the fabrics and the way you don't always tell it exactly, like just behind your instead of actually, finishing the sentence. I think that's got a nice sophistication to it, which I'm enjoying.
Thank you. I also tried to tie in the manufacturing in Lowell because I used to have my studio in Lowell and the big mills there. And actually the cotton came up from where you grew up. It was made into cloth in Lowell, and it was actually that piping that we used to use on mattresses. Remember that black and white piping? That actually was sent back down to the South, and it was used for clothing for the slaves. So they tended to wear, and for the black workers on the farms.
Yeah.
They wore that type of rough cotton clothing. So there's the same tie.
I have a quick question. Is the dyeing and the design of the cloth also done in Mali?
Some of that was done. They're right along the side of the road. They have great big vats, and they do, with the wax resist. So that's how they do their dyeing. But the cloth that you see, the other kind of cloth, it's usually sent to the Netherlands, and it was printed there and then sent back to Mali. For some reason, I don't know why, but that seemed to be where their cotton went to be produced into cloth that Malian women can wear. This, of course, is a European piece of cloth. I think it's probably silk, this particular piece.
Oh.
So. Now, this is all my small books, and I'm just going to show you a few because the first group I'd like to show you are what I call the invasive species. I did a show with some friends at Roxbury Community College, and we had artists bring work in about migrations. And so I took the idea that how we talk about plants are invasive species, how they take up space, they take over, it doesn't allow the natural plants to flourish. And we say the same things about the immigrants. And so I interviewed a lot of my friends, and I made little books for each one of them. This one was for the Jewish immigrants, and it's a literal story of how my friend's mother was put on a ship. She came from Russia at age 15, and she had to lay under hay in a horse-drawn wagon that took her to Poland, where she caught a boat to America. So that's her story. And when it was at the school, people who came in to see the exhibit just looked through them all and looked for one that represented their family's history. This one is the Arabs. And this was done by an early Arab one. And I just made the first page a plant that probably was an invasive plant and maybe from an Arab country. And like on this one, I say non-native that have migrated here, they compete for limited resources, diminish, disrupt, or threaten the original groups. So this one was in honor of one of the first Arab immigrants, a Lebanese Christian, who was hired to work on a camel driver's experiment down in Texas. And I'm not sure, that was during the gold rush. Then let's see, I have, of course, the Irish and their stories. So it was great fun, and I just let people take them. So I make them, and my one thing is every single one of them is made by hand because all the pictures are glued in and all the writing's glued in. I know I could put it on the copier and make it much easier, but for some reason, unless I glue the pieces, I don't feel like it's art.
Oh. So you're not considering yourself a zine artist?
What's that?
Okay. Okay. If you look
She will
on our
learn how to
NEBA
do
website, oh, you're going to learn about it because I think that would be right up your alley, and you could do them by hand, but I love the protest in you. I think that's great. I love the, craftivism is a very popular word right now, and using our art and craft voices to help shed light and educate on all these different issues. It's wonderful. And I do love the connection of the invasive kind of thing with the plants and the people. It's fascinating. Yeah.
The other thing I did was during Obama's period, I sent out every legislator in Congress, so about 500 little books, and these were on that 8 children are killed by guns every day in the United States. And so I sent one out to every legislator. And then during the midterms of Trump's period of presidency, I sent one out to all the legislators again, and that was asking the legislators to try and work together on some of the issues that we needed. One was racism, the other was income inequality. What were some of the others? I think I had 4 items, I thought. Oh, maybe environmental degradation. And the 4th one was infrastructure, working on the country's infrastructure. So I didn't get a response from a single person for either of the mailings.
Huh.
But during the marches that we had in Boston, I always had a pile of books that I gave out as we hiked. So, and the last one I'm going to show you is this one I did, and it's now the original is in New York in a community center, but it's based on called Silent Voices, and it's actually the story of the United States prison system. So when you pull these out, there's a page and it has a statistic on it. And so it's kind of a slide book. And I just had the tabs so you could pull each one out.
I wish Pam Wright was here today. She's one of our members, and she has done some work on prison-related ideas as well. And I know that Chantal Zachary is also doing some kind of special collections artist book library. Yeah, in a prison.
Yeah, this one, the title of this one is Types of Offenses. This is inmates by race. So
slide that over a little so we can see it better. Like, don't get so close so we can see the whole thing. There you go. That's better. Oh, there we go. It's right there. Stay there.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever thought about doing a gigantic book? I know that you make gigantic art.
Yes.
These large scale prints. What about a large scale book? Is that ever?
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
This one is juveniles, the statistics on juveniles in our prisons. And so I have a child who has spent a great deal of their life in prison. So I'm pretty familiar with what happens. And so this is the last one, kind of the so little is done for people in prison that they actually learn to do nothing. They either watch television, get to do a little physical bodybuilding. That's about it.
You know, piggybacking on what Christina said about doing a really large book, that format that you just showed us where you pulled out each piece, I'm envisioning like a really large cage-like, shallow cage-like structure where, you know, just the way you pull that out, you know, a viewer can pull one of those out and go inside that very shallow cage-like structure, basically something that almost like a facade of a jail cell with bars. And then behind it, you pull out one of those images and the viewer can slip into that shallow stage-like space and a quote unquote experience vicariously what it might be like to be behind bars.
What if it was something like one of those, like when you go look at rugs that are hanging, I mean, because your pieces are pretty sizable. So like if you think about a structure that has the arms coming out with clamps and you can flip through the rugs that are hanging vertically, and then you could create some kind of cover for it. Because that does feel book-like when you're flipping like rugs, you know, through a system like that.
Yeah, and like they have the museum where they have the posters.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting that I could probably handle.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, you'd have to look at like what, store fixture stores online, people that supply something like that. I could see your large scale prints done that way. I wanted to ask more about your art medium on those that you pulled out as well. What are the original works done in?
The original works were monoprints, and they were probably 10 by 10, maybe 12 by 12. And then I shrunk them on my copier
Yeah.
and just made color prints.
What's the largest printmaking print you've ever made?
Oh, I did the steamrolling
Yeah.
in where is it, Hyde Park? So I've done that. And actually I did it in Watertown. Those are fun. And
Yeah.
those are what, it's what, 4 by 8, 4 feet
Yeah,
by
like
8 feet? Yeah.
yeah,
That's-
40 by
that's the size I
4
did,
by 8.
a big piece of plywood.
Yeah.
But I
That
didn't
was
carve it. I
fantastic.
did it, I took linoleum and ripped it and then glued the ripped pieces so that I didn't have to carve so much.
One last
Fantastic, Gail.
Thank
One
you.
last thought before we leave Gail's work, and that your series about immigrants. My family and I came to this country in 1961. We were Cuban refugees. And so our story was dramatic, but in terms of how we got here, we just simply got on a plane and came over. However, I know many thousands of people that have far more dramatic stories. For instance, in the case of the Cubans, using a raft to try to traverse, 90 miles of open sea. And all of us, unless we were born, unless we are Native Americans, come from someplace else. Wouldn't it be nice to have, of course, these are one of millions of ideas that we have that we've put forth, but wouldn't it be nice if those of us that have what we feel is a compelling story we'd like to share about our origins in this country might not do like a little zine or something to that effect, piggybacking on your series.
Yeah. I
Well-
see a whole lot of zine conversations coming because our zine swap is going to be starting on, where for the summer when we get out and have a break. So over the summer. So Gail, keep your eye out because I think you're going to be grooving on possibly collecting other people's zines or making your own or joining the swap, because the swap is really neat look at what's in people's heads. It's fascinating. Yeah.
My studio is on Green Street, so I usually put my art outside and people go by and can just pick it up. Otherwise, I'll usually do it when I'm having an exhibit. I'll try and put a box out so people can take the book, because I try and explain my exhibit that way. And just as a last thing, anyone who wants to do any art, I have the fence across the street from the Boston Police Headquarters. All that stuff up there is mine and has been for quite a few years. It's open to anyone who wants to do a piece, do a giant book on that one. It's a
Who
long.
knows? Vagenda may need to make a statement over there.
Yep. Next month is going to be police reform, so feel free to just go over and stick your piece up. It's there's no permission asked.
So Gail, I know that in the past, the police or the city took everything down
Yes.
routinely.
Routinely.
Do they still do that, or
Nope.
do they leave it alone now so that it's?
No, they hang it back up, which is nice.
Because you've had a lot of stuff removed from that wall.
Yeah.
Like your chairs,
Yep.
the chair series, that was so fabulous.
The last 2 years, nothing has been taken. And actually I go over and people have rewired things, and it's been interesting.
Are you taking pictures of that over time?
No.
That would make its own
Be
book right
interesting, yeah.
there. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Gail, you're so creative and just are out there doing so much. It's just greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
You
Yeah,
have
totally.
a special, generous soul that anyone who's known you benefits from.
Thank you, Carolyn.
So
We've
thank
been in
you
tons of shows together over the years, but we just started to get to know each other really over the last 2 years. And I'm enjoying your arc and your range of your art. You know, you're not just a book artist. You do all these other things, and I think it's cool too. And I love the craftivism. Craftivism. That's a hard word to say.
Well, I have to
Protest art. Yeah.
the work that I've seen presented in your group, they're just beautiful books,
Yeah.
just beautifully made and wonderful, just wonderful pieces of art. So I've really enjoyed that part of the group.
Well, we're going to get you into the zine project too, because Christina is right. That is a perfect venue for you. And I'll send her the PDF on how to make it if you want.
Yeah, it's actually on our website. There's a
Yeah.
whole the PDF is directly accessible if you go in the news and events and go back a little ways last year.
Yeah.
This year I'm going to make an updated version of it, but yeah, we're going to have we're having fun. And our zine show, We Zine is the name of the show. That listing is there too. I mean, that's a whole show of not only a whole bunch of people's zines, but a lot of mine and our little collection from last year of NEBAs. So that's kind of fun. That opening is going to be a field trip it's actually on June 1st is the opening reception. And we're going to make it a field trip for the group and just have people come over so you can visit your zine and hang out or not. We could do it online. We're going to see how June 1st is for people, but I think they're doing an online and physical reception. All right, I'm gonna take, who did we say was next? Rebecca? Is Rebecca?
Rebecca's next.
Okay, I'm gonna spotlight you and
I think Rhoda wants to say something.
yeah.
I just have to tell Gail that she is such an inspiration to use art as a form of activism. I applaud you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you from a former and still active person. Rhoda, you are too. Very political.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Gail, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll be talking soon.
Yeah.
Next up for show and tell is Rebecca Goodale, and we're gonna see what she's been up to. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Carolyn. Thanks for inviting me. And thanks for inviting me again after I had to bail a couple of months ago. So I appreciate your faith.
We're glad you're here.
Thank you. It's hard during the school year. I have to say yes to everything that comes my way. So
Perfectly understandable.
all right. Whoops, sorry. That's not what I wanted.
There you go.
Here I am. Okay. So you can interrupt me while I'm talking if you have questions. So I'm showing you work I've completed or am currently working on in the past 12 months. This is a collaboration I did. I have a colleague who is a beautiful poet. Her name is Lisa Hibble. And I asked her to give me, if she would be willing to give me a stack of poems about Maine's wildlife or plants, but I was interested in an animal. And through all of her poems, and I was excited about a poem that dealt with the ruby-throated hummingbird. And this is the Latin for that creature, Archilochus colubris. And I also decided that I didn't want to do an edition with letterpress, that it was such an intimate poem that I wanted it to be in handwriting, not my own. So I asked another Maine book artist and calligrapher, Jan Owen, if she would write the poem for me. My intention was to make 2 of these books, and I did. And it's a reduction linoleum block that I printed and then conjoined to make this banner book. So here you see the book on the right closed. You see the prints in progress. It's you're looking at bee balm and globe thistle, and there's actually a female hummingbird. Maybe she hasn't appeared yet in this part of the print. and a clamshell box that it is housed in. And here's the book open. It's about close to 4 feet tall. And here's Lisa's a beautiful poem. Bits of light bright green, the modest slope of belly in high resolution at the bee-balm. He makes his circumference, Emily's choice noun, arbiter of heaven, cipher of air. He makes his dalliance brightly, the doors all but blasted apart, no spies. That thistle I leave stately, skeletal for him, sways unnoticed in the corner. Love, where did your bird go? And you can see I have placed a female hummingbird in the print. So this is, the top layer is only the first color that is in the block. The blue is the ink and the white is the paper. And then the 4 prints that are conjoined below have all the other colors, including the red blossoms, which are chinchole.
What is the size again? Oh my goodness. I just wanted to make sure I understood correctly. So it's huge.
It's big. Here it is in an exhibition at the Icelandic National Library.
Wow.
I know. A friend of mine who is a photographer there, I did not get to go. She took this picture for me. It was very few people were allowed in the country during COVID, but I was glad they continued with the exhibition. And then this book came shortly after that. This was last spring. About this time, I was doing a lot of hiking. I'm usually very active. I like to swim every day, but the Y closed down. So I just started hiking every day, and I discovered all kinds of new land trusts that I hadn't been to in the general area of where I live. And this is in Harpswell. This is a beautiful bog with a stand of wild calla lilies. Now, I had only ever seen calla lilies in the wild in Maine one other time, and it was just beside the dump in Deer Isle. So when I came across this stand in Harpswell, which is very near to me, I just sat down and started drawing. And here's the drawing on the left that started it all. I went back 3 or 4 more times, and then I created dry points and made this book, which is called Harpswell Bog, Wild Callas. And I made one of these, and then I made 2, an edition of 2, nearly identical, except they're not hand colored. And it's about 14 inches high, and probably if it's, stretched to its maximum width, it might be, 3.5, 4 feet wide. And this book I just finished last month. I'm thrilled about it. In February of 2020, another colleague of mine who's an incredible writer, Lisa Hibble is also a colleague of mine and friend, a man named Judson Merrill had written this beautiful poem about sea level rise. And I couldn't forget it. It was such a strong poem. And so in February, I asked him, this was last year, I asked him if I could use his poem in a project, and he said he'd be thrilled. So it took me a while to do all the research I did about the deep Atlantic, because in this poem, he has a rope and it's tied to the bottom of the ocean. And I'm not going to read you that poem today. It's absolutely striking. So here is the book. The book itself is foil stamped in silver with the title, and it's about 6 3/4 high by 5 3/4 wide. And then it's in a clamshell box where I put this dry point of a tern in a label on the front of the box. And then here you can see it opens vertically. So as you read the book, and you can read it on a tabletop, 3 or 4 pages exposed at a time as you turn through, the pages get darker and darker. I stained with ink and ink wash all these gorgeous sheets of Japanese paper, and then I printed on top of them. So the title page and poem are set in letterpress polymer plates and printed by Ascensius Press in Bar Mills, Maine, by a friend of mine named Scott Vile, who does a lot of my letterpress printing for me. And then as you get darker, you enter under the surface of the water, and you see those things that are closer to the surface first, and then I take you deep pretty fast. You shift from jellyfish to brittle star and shrimp down to some tiny little cephalopods and more sea lilies. There's a sea cucumber, and these are more brittle starfish arms. And then the inside of the back cover is the colophon. And I made 9 of these. Here's
Wow.
a close-up of the print. Let's see, there's 18 pages in the book. So this is 15, 16, 17, and no, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. 15, 14, 13, and 12. So this is folded into 4 pages. And then there's a close-up of the starfish, the brittle star, and shrimp. This is a proof because I did print this on white with some silver mixed in it because the paper was pitch black.
It has a really beautiful translucent quality, that paper does.
Yeah, it is a beautiful paper. And also the ink has a little, the black ink that I used, when it's at its densest, it has a kind of sheen to it. And then I did add silver into the white ink. So there is a kind of iridescence in the book. Here's the day that I met with Judson and we signed them all. I just took this picture.
The staining that you did before you printed, I think is really fantastic too.
Yeah, I wanted to have the viewer feel like they were going deeper and deeper and deeper.
How did you get the cover stamp, silver stamp, foil stamp? Did you do that yourself?
No, that is actually a tool that foil stamps. It heats up the foil. You have titanium type made that's a complete, I've done it with images too. So you have this metal plate with what you are foil stamping, and that goes into this machine which heats up the metal. And then you put the foil where you want it on the surface of the cloth, and then you press that warm metal, it's actually quite hot, that hot metal block into the foil, and it makes the impression on the.
So who does those small?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
runs
give us
for
a
you?
company name or how much and who, what, when, and where. Man, I'm on this. That sounds cool.
Just talk to any binder or letterpress printer. I'm sure if you went to North Street Bennett School, you could probably even pay a student to do it for you. It's just somebody with the machine you've got to find.
Wow.
To make the rope, you have to have that first, but then you can do as many as you want, right?
Right. So you pay for the block, which can be around $200.
Okay.
And then the foil and the labor on top of that.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna check this out.
Yeah, that's great. That's a really
Beautiful.
amazing thing.
These are lovely, honey. Yeah.
Thank you. And
Nice.
Yeah.
this project is one I'm still working on. It's it came about again from all this walking I've been doing. So this is a local farm education center called Wolf's Neck. And it's a beautiful spot. It's free to park, it's free to walk. You can walk for hours, and there's farm equipment, there's animals. there's neighbors sometimes. Sometimes you're there all by yourself, especially in the winter and during COVID, there were so few people out and about. So I started to run. I'm not a runner, so that didn't last too long. And as I was running and walking, I noticed all this farm equipment as if it were waiting for its turn to be busy. So I got fascinated and I decided to go back and draw the farm machinery, which was holding still in this world where everyone seemed to be on hold. So here's a rusty little tractor. This Weigela is a deep burgundy when it blooms. It's a beautiful little shrub there. And then they have these silos. They raise organic dairy cows, and they educate the next generation of organic dairy farmers. So I was fascinated by this label, the brand name Farmer Boy, Farmer Boy, Farmer Boy. And I wondered where were the farmer girls? And this is a hay machine called a tedder. And this just looks prehistoric or sci-fi. It goes both directions. And here are 4 of the prints I've made. My intention is to have a subscription available to folks to get 6 prints. They're either 11 high by 15 wide or 15 high by 11 wide. And here are the first 4. You can see it's farmer, boy, girl now. The largest one is the girl. And these are different. There's that Weigela, it's not in bloom. I put that in with the tractor. So people can buy this subscription for $1,500. And then my intention is to give money to a scholarship fund to bring young kids who wouldn't normally go to farm camp to camp this summer. And also from this, here's the one I just finished, a blue tractor. So this is number 5. And number 6, I started yesterday. It'll be a chicken coop on wheels. And these are mixed media. I usually start with silkscreen.
That's a nice coop.
I usually finish with a monoprint layer. I often use chincolet and block prints and sometimes collagraphs as well. And I made, so it's an edition of 10. I'm trying to get 10 subscribers. And then I've got, I printed 12 and the other 2 are becoming a pop-up book. And here you see the same prints now rearranged into pop-ups. So that's where I'm headed. I haven't finished these because I haven't finished the prints. Once I finish the chicken coop, I can bind these. They'll be drum leaf with cloth covers. And that's it. That's what I did this year.
Oh, Rebecca, just fabulous.
Thank you.
They're so interesting, and there's a childlike nature that really allows you to just simply enjoy them. It's just joyful.
Yeah, it's been kind of a bleak time for everybody. So I thought maybe that farm machinery would buoy people along.
Terrific. Really wonderful. Thank you for sharing with us
You're
what you've been doing. And thanks for being a member and being willing to do it.
Okay, you're welcome.
What a great project to have a scholarship. That is a terrific project.
Yeah, they really are. It's a great institution and they're working so hard to get kids from the more urban areas to be able to come for free. And I'm happy to help.
That's marvelous.
Marvelous. Well, next up, and certainly last but not least, is Ronni Komarow. So she is in Truro doing a residency. And we're going to see some of what's been going on with her. And she'll tell us all about this residency. There you go, Ronni.
Hi. I thought, I don't know how well this will work. I'll try to show people a little bit of my surroundings. And I should also say, I only got here kind of late afternoon Monday, so I'm still acclimating just to all the quiet. Because I live in Boston, so it's like, where's all the noise? You know, and it's also, they do have sort of a reduced number of residents and things because of COVID. So it's definitely been a change of environment here. So you can let me know how visible everything is, but this is the house where I'm staying. And you can see, I don't know how well this is showing, but you can see.
Just go slowly, Ronni, as you spin us. Otherwise, we're going to be losing our
Seasick. You're making us seasick.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is nice.
Very nice.
The living room area. There's meetings and things here. You can see I brought my Mother's Day flowers with me. There they are.
Oh,
That was smart.
They go with the colors. And so again, this is actually, this building used to be the barn. So a lot of heavy renovation here. I'm gonna take you, we'll see how this works. I'm gonna take you outside just
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? Can you make yourself the speaker so that you're the only thing showing?
Oh,
So that we
okay.
can see it bigger?
Okay, so let's see. I have to just find the speaker view someplace.
usually upper right-hand corner.
Yeah. let me
You
see.
activate the screen with your cursor.
Yep. Okay. And so let's see, is this enter full screen, and I'm on gallery view, and let me see what happens.
Go to speaker.
Okay, no.
It should be with gallery view. It should be right next.
Okay, all right. So I have gallery view, and now it's speaker view. Is that speaker view?
Not yet.
All right, sorry about that. How's that? No?
Nope, nothing's changed.
Okay. And that, yeah, because this is what I get with speaker view, and you're like here. Okay, because I have you as the speaker. I think I'm in speaker view for me.
We can see you well, and I could see.
Yeah, this is speaker view. There you are, Gail.
Yeah, and I could see as you walked around, so.
Okay.
Just go for it. Don't worry about it. We're gonna be
Yeah,
okay.
okay. Yeah, because I guess I'm not going speaker view, but when everybody else is going speaker view. So I don't know, go a little bit louder. All right, so we'll go outside just a bit.
Now,
And
Ronni, this house has to do with what? What's the organization that owns this?
well, this is Truro Center for the Arts at Castle Hill.
Okay.
And they've been in operation, I want maybe 30 years. I actually don't know. I tried to get somebody from the group to join us, but they weren't available. So you can kind of, if you can see a little bit of the background, it's just a beautiful setting. It's a very quiet area. This used to be a farm, and now it's an art center. There is a print shop here. There's a sculpture studio. They're putting in a wood fire ceramic kiln right now as we speak. There's adjoining paths and kind of a conservation area. I'll see, this is kind of the main farmhouse. I'm not sure. I'll try to see if I can come over here a little bit. And so there's sort of a main farmhouse here. And there's what they call the cottage, sort of an auxiliary house. And I think you can see the barn where I'm staying. So anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead. Right now, everybody here has sort of a designated work area. So my work area is upstairs in the barn. They call it the roost. So I'm gonna just whip upstairs, and then I did put my work out. It just seemed important to give people a little bit of a sense of the setting because it is important to what I'm doing.
Ronnie, how long are you gonna be there?
I only get 12 days. It's a short residency, but
Well, that's a nice chunk of time, though. You can get a lot done in 12 days.
well, I'm trying to. As I say, I'm just trying here. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead inside, and so I'm now going upstairs to.
This is fun, Ronnie, to follow you around.
Oh, it's a blast. It's like a field trip.
It is like a field trip, actually. It's funny.
Okay.
All right.
So we're inside. So, let's see. So for me to be, I think I want to be on a little fuller screen to show work here. So I'm trying to think of what I need to.
Share screen.
Share screen.
Okay.
That should be at the bottom in green when you activate with your cursor.
Okay, let's see if we can do this. Okay.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
people have asked me to unspotlight people, but I'm no longer the host. I handed it off to Ronnie, so she would have to do that. If you want to take the spotlights off of anyone else and make yourself only the spotlight, or that may be too much.
The spotlights are on Gail and Rebecca and me.
Oh, okay. So is that it? So do I need a
I
spotlight?
kind of liked it that way, so that it's like our MC and our participants are spotlighted.
Okay, but do I need to be spotlighted?
No, we see
Yeah.
your screen. Are you going to show us a slideshow?
I don't have a slideshow. I'm showing you the work.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Okay. So what do I do to get that to happen?
Well, right now we're seeing your desktop. When you do share screen, you wanna not, there's gonna be some choices when you click on screen share screen.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So this should be speaker view, and I don't think this is actually. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the share. I don't think that's what I want.
Well, I think just hold your art up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was going to say, if that's all you want to do, then that's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, and well, but I can't go full screen. What do I do to go?
you are full screen. I
Oh, I
see.
am? Okay, I'm not full screen on my computer.
I'm not seeing full screen either, and that's where the recording's happening, so it's not full screen.
Okay.
I see. She's full
I'll
screen.
tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to reclaim host.
Okay.
I'm reclaiming host, and she doesn't need to screen share, right?
No, I'm not screen sharing.
Okay, and I'm going to remove anybody's thing who isn't supposed to be on here. So we're going to remove spotlight on all of the people who are not talking. There it is. And who else?
Yay!
Up here.
bye everyone.
I should have done that before I handed off.
Yay!
There.
Okay, so this was what I wanted. Okay, thank you. Okay, so anyway, now I don't know, maybe you could see it a little bit better now because we've got a full screen. So this is called the Roost. It's actually the upstairs area of this building called the Barn, and this is my workspace for like a week and a half here. So and so in December of this year, I had a solo show at Galatea Fine Art, which is my gallery. Carolyn is also a member of Galatea. And what I showed there, I was going to say, Rebecca was just talking about this whole idea of walks. And so, you know, I certainly feel that during this whole COVID era and even before, for me, walking has really been just a very important source of just kind of solace and finding peace and staying. And during COVID, it's a way I've connected with my neighbors. We all go for walks together. And it's really just played a pretty important role in my life. And there was recently a story on NPR about walking as a civic act. And I think the references were more immediately to people in urban neighborhoods, but I think that for everyone, there can be sort of an element of a civic act in walking, because the experience of a place when you actually physically walk through it, when you're not in a vehicle, is so different. And, you know, certainly being here, I try to either be walking or I do run, so be running or be on my bicycle, but I try to stay out of cars and just really be experiencing things. And so I've been an artist in residence here twice before. I also here, I have a book art workshop in August, August 16th. So that's a commercial, but anyway, I did teach before, and as Marie will know, my connection in part to New England book art is through teaching here. I taught here in 2019, and one of my students is a friend of Marie's. And so part of how Marie and I were connected is through Sarah Ringler, who is a member of New England Book Artists and now a mutual friend of both of ours. And I actually saw her on my way here. She lives on the Cape. So I feel like this is kind of part of my connection to this group, is my connection being here at Castle Hill. And Castle Hill is running a full program of in-person workshops this summer. There's a lot of space here, and you know, I think it's, you know, everyone has to decide for themselves, but I think it is an opportunity to be with people even during COVID. So, you know, I just want to, you know, urge people to come to a workshop if you can, or just, you know, they do have a gallery and other events that you can just attend. So just to put Castle Hill on everybody's radar screen. So I started doing these books about taking walks and, you know, sort of my experience of connecting things through a walk. I started doing those here. And so I'm going to show you a few books. So I hope people can see these okay. So this I had done maybe during my first residency here. I was just doing watercolors of the field right behind actually this building. And I did this on a long strip of paper. I hope this is can people see this okay, sort of?
Yes.
Yeah.
Pull it back just a little, Ronnie. That's pretty good.
Okay. And so for the most part, these are pretty simple, just accordion folds, because they just fold out and are sort of a longer experience. And then during my second residency here, I did another drawing of the same setting, which is behind this building where we are right now. And so I just have to get some wrapping off of this. These books started being kind of more unwieldy in size. So this one is, let's see, so this one is multiple drawings that I just worked on in my time here. And they are put together and they're bound.
Beautiful.
Back up just a little, Ronnie. There we go.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Really beautiful, Ronnie.
Yeah, I started out doing books where I used a lot of collage and transfer and that kind of thing. And I've done a lot of them with printmaking. At this point, my undergraduate degree is in drawing. So I've kind of returned to those roots. Just working with very simple drawing. And these are mostly just done with I like ebony pencils, so these are done with ebony pencils. And so I've now kind of laid this out here. And
Wow.
you can see you can see this book maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's this kind of unwieldy, it's this unwieldy form of being just very, very long. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so that one's about 8 feet long. And I think it's 6 inches high. So anyway, as I say, I started doing that here, and I'm actually continuing with some of that. I'll show you, this is a piece that I did in my exhibit at Galatea. And so this piece is about maybe 10 feet long and 9 inches high. And this is monotype. I did not have press access. And I did a whole series of these as monotype, and then they're backed and bound, and sort of as what I'm calling a scroll format. And this is Chandler Pond, which is a pond in my immediate neighborhood. And when I'm home, I walk this pond all the time. I've done a lot of on-site drawings, and so I did a whole series just about this pond, which it means a lot to me. It means a lot to people from my neighborhood. The pond had at one point been an ice pond before, like when ice boxes really had ice, they had ponds where they would cut the ice out in the winter and keep it for food preservation. And Boston originally had 33 ponds. Now Boston has 2 ponds, and Chandler Pond is one of them, the other one being Jamaica Pond. So I feel like it's just been a real gift that the pond was saved. There were plans to convert the pond into a parking lot, and it actually was saved through neighborhood activism. So I just feel very, very, very lucky that that happened. And these are, so I brought, there's multiple versions of this monotype. And so I have a bunch of these up on the wall. They're all a little different. And after I print them, I do work with them. So these all have a backing. I'm using kind of a little bit of a heavy textured mulberry paper. I'm edging them with another rice paper. And some of them have been also bound. So,
you know, some of your prints I could see also translating well into white line woodcuts. Have you ever tried anything like that?
well, I did do my book that I did here. I actually have it as I have some pronto plates, actually. So I want to print it here because there's a really good print shop here. So that's one of my projects for this week, is that I'm going to be printing. So this piece that you see here is actually, I have a whole series of litho plates prepared, and so that is going to happen this week.
Have you been to, are you familiar with White Cedar Swamp in Wellfleet?
No.
Oh my goodness, that would be, go on a walk there. White Cedar Swamp in Wellfleet. You will be completely amazed at what you see, and it will give you so much fuel to your already fertile imagination. Don't miss it, Ronni, really.
No, I mean, usually I'm not, and this isn't contradicting anything. Usually when I'm drawing places, they're very specific to a place that sort of is part of my existence. So, you know, like my relationship here with Edgewood Farm goes back several years at this point. But anyway, going back to Chandler Pond, this is actually the logo of Friends of Chandler Pond. And this is one of, so this is another monotype of the same one. And so this one is done as a bound book. And I hand cut the logo out of rice paper and put it on top of another rice paper.
That horizontal, that very, very horizontal strip, you have a particular skill of making the rhythm of that work so beautifully, where you're going in and out, and you know, you've even got I mean, it's just composed brilliantly, and I just had to share that.
Yeah, I was going to comment on the visual movement in that linear format is just really nice. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was
The
going to
first
say.
one had like branches that became snowdrifts that became branches. So the branches were moving. Yeah, just really nice movement. Yeah.
Yeah, this is also Chandler Pond, and also a hand cut logo. I just did it with a different, I mean, it's just a different color treatment, but you know, so again, so they are monotype, so they're similar, but each one is different. And again, you know, you can see I did an edging with, it's a mulberry paper, and it's hardbound. So anyway, so I did one also. This is the last one. So there were some versions of this that were in my exhibit at Galatea in December, and this one is actually I have a cousin who lives in Normandy in France, and so when we got to, I guess, summer 2019 is when I originally started these. I've done he lives on sort of the top of a cliff, and there is a big panoramic view of this whole town and the seacoast below. So these are all a whole other series of.
Show us the cover on that one.
Oh,
cover on that one.
Yes, the town is Trouville, and this is hand cut. They have kind of this vintage, I don't know if it's exactly a logo, but that's what this is taken from.
Yes.
Sort of a symbolic image of the town, and it is hand cut out of mulberry paper.
The rhythm of those roofs is extraordinary visually.
Well, and that's sort of what happens in doing this. Like when I did my show, and I'll show you the original drawing for that, like all of these involve kind of multiple sketches and drawings. So this is the drawing that I did.
I was hoping you were going to show us.
Right. This is of Trouville. This is the drawing that I did on site. These are just unplanned sketches.
Gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and this was at Galatea. So, and again, it's a pencil drawing. It has a little, you know, maybe a couple kinds of wash and a couple different kinds of pencils, but it's purposely just kind of pared down, kept pretty simple. And so what I'm doing now, which is a little bit of, maybe this is just insight into my process here, but I'm working on another one of these. So, you know, I'm the people who are familiar with this area might know. So Castle Hill is right near the Pamet River estuary. It's near like the Pamet roads, North Pamet and South Pamet roads, which cross Route 6. And it's South Truro. So I really love the walking. There's a path along the estuary that you can walk. And I was there for 5 hours yesterday, and sort of one person came by to walk a dog at the end of the day. Otherwise, I was totally sitting by myself and doing drawings. And so when you talk about how the whole thing comes together and there is kind of a rhythm, so this might be, you know, I'm going to guess this is the first third that I'll show you of another book. And again, this is just sort of my raw beginning. So, and because I remember one thing that kind of struck me when I did my other show, someone had asked me, oh, are you working from photographs? And so Carolyn and Christina, when you brought up the idea of having a certain rhythm, I'm deliberately infusing a pattern, a rhythm, having the pages break in a certain place relative to the composition. All these things are pretty deliberate, and you really just don't do that with a photograph. The photograph isn't going to do what I'm doing. So they have to be done, to me, from plein air sketches. And it's also that it isn't about a representation per se. It's about my experience of a certain place and what I feel about it that I'm infusing into the work. So
absolutely. And that's why that's what connects all of these too. Your hand and your experience are definitely shown.
It's the way you're seeing it. It's not meant to be a photograph.
Yeah,
so,
we don't want to see a photograph. We want to see what Ronnie's hands are doing.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
are
I
stunning.
like it. I think that the plein air notion, the temporality of like the time of you actually being there and seeing and experiencing it is going to be a very different thing than taking pictures and then going back and working from a photo. Sometimes that just doesn't work for people. I mean, everybody's going to approach it differently, but I really like how these are doing. Yeah, they're beautiful, honey. Good job. Yeah, it's really
nice,
Ronnie. Nice work. Yeah.
And that's essentially what I'm trying to do here, is get these sketches working. One for here, this one that I started at the Pamet River estuary, and then there's a beach down the road here called Ballston Beach, and there's a conservation area where you can walk through a path, and there's kind of an overlook. And from this overlook, I want to do another piece based on that location. So that's my goal while I'm here, is to at least get to have working drawings done of 2 locations, and then develop, as you can kind of see, the whole process of developing it into a book is, it just is going to take me a while. But
but we can, because of what you've shown us, we can totally see the process, that you must be there, that you have to go through these iterations, and that's why you're having that residency. Now, my question is, when you propose, you do a proposal for the residency, you have to apply. Right. Did you have that in your proposal?
Oh yeah, yes. They've actually, this one 8-foot long book of Edgewood Farm, which I already showed you, not that one. This has been on exhibit here in the gallery. And yeah, so yes, they knew about that when I did the proposal.
Nice.
And so it was a pleasure to get to do that.
All right, well, I know I want to get there. I want to make a proposal and be part of whatever's going on there. So
There might be sheep somewhere.
there might be sheep somewhere.
Oh, you never know.
I know. So, well, Ronni, thank you so much for showing us your beautiful drawings and prints. They're like no one else's, and the palette has a softness in your monotypes that are, when you have two of them in a room, which I've seen thanks to your show at Galatea, it creates an environment that is so soothing, and you walk into the space and you don't want to leave.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Carolyn. I feel the same way about Ronnie's pieces.
I even like them when you have the same view and the different versions all together.
Yep.
So that you're seeing kind of the thought process and the evolution of it at the same time. Visually, those work, like the 3 in the row, that worked for me too. Yeah.
She did that at the show, and it really, you got to see those the artistic hand in the way things change with the monotypes. It's very strong.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for everyone for presenting. And this is our last one until the fall. We're going to be taking down names.
And yep, we're taking prisoners.
We need to have some volunteers for the fall. So we'll get started with more show and tell. We're going to try some oddball, just one-off, interesting, fun things for the summer. We'll announce those as we get going. But thank you, Carolyn, for a lovely job with the organization and emceeing and carrying us through this first year of show and tell. Woo!
My pleasure.
Good job, Carolyn. Thank you so much for all your hard work and organizing this. You're doing a wonderful job. And thank you, Christina, for helping keep everything together and fighting the good fight. It'll be fun to see what we do moving forward. I can't wait.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off. I'm going to go ahead and hit the old quit. Okay.